Spring fever may have come prematurely here in the state of Minnesota as the Suburban East and Section 4 4A race reaches a fever pitch. White Bear Lake and Woodbury engage in battle in high school girls basketball live on SCC Sports. Greetings everyone, I'm Mike Peden, and for the first time all season, White Bear Lake has entered the top 10 in Class 4A, but Woodbury is a team on the rise. Learning how to finish games, they've had a lot of lean years, but they're coming off a couple of big wins over Stillwater and Roseville, and that has really jammed up Section 4 4A. Here's a look at our teams, the tail of the tape, so to speak. White Bear Lake with the edge in scoring and defense, points allowed. Record above 500, another metric, 9-5, White Bear Lake, Woodbury 4-7. White Bear Lake, of course, they typically schedule tough in December, so they had a few lumps going up against some Lake Conference foes, Eden Prairie, Minnetonka. They took on Lakeville North at the Granite City Classic, but that usually prepares them for postseason play. They will be a team to keep an eye on, as they have been over the last several years, going back to that state tournament run of theirs where they got the bronze medal. And there is your player to watch for White Bear Lake. It's Jordan Schmidtdeal, the Northern Michigan commit. 17.6 points per game, 8 20-point games this season, including a season high of 25. No explosive scores compared to Torrey Orline, Madden Greenway, but White Bear Lake, they always have a plethora of athletes at the helm. And there is somebody who's coming off a pretty good effort in Matea Henry, a season high 31 points in Woodbury's win over Stillwater, which took place 8 days ago. Head coach Jeremy Post, he's been at the helm for a long time at White Bear Lake, 18 seasons to be precise. 18 seasons ago, that's about when I graduated high school. Brian Doty, the head coach for Woodbury, as we're underway. White Bear Lake starting Kemi Bachmeyer, Addison Post, Abby O'Brien, Jordan Schmidtdeal, and Heidi Barber. And here comes Addie Post. She draws the foul, and she'll shoot two. Addie had a pretty solid game at the start of the season against Centennial. And Woodbury starting Coco Scanlon, Harper Vossen, Rachel Orbell, Sarah Vasky, Matea Henry. Here's a look at the drive to the rim by Post, able to get a step on her defender Vasky, or Vossen I should say, and Addison Post is on the board. Addie Post, the junior, will settle for a split, but White Bear Lake is on the board. This series has been dominated by White Bear Lake over the last several years. And in the first meeting between these two, White Bear Lake won 71-28. Talked to both coaches, and Jeremy Post said, we got to prove it tonight. White Bear Lake, the favorite to get the 1 seed in Section 4 4A. Woodbury would love to respond after that drubbing as Matea Henry tries to go underneath Barber, the UConn softball commit. That doesn't work out. Post will bring the ball up. Schmidtdeal out of the elbow. More high post, but White Bear Lake will back off in their final season at this gym. Next year, everyone's moving over to the North Campus, and we'll have a brand new facility. Schmidtdeal out of the wing, plenty of time, 10 to shoot now. Post working off the screen set by Barber, tries to move in but didn't have the cleanest of lanes. Picking up that rebound is the 8th grader Harper Vossen. We haven't seen too many young guns suit up for Woodbury in recent years, as the 3 from Vasky is offline, but Vossen and Fahey are a couple of those kicks out. Jordan Schmidtdeal's 3 is there. Vossen to Vasky. Askey, the junior. Coco Scanlon. Woodbury with the 3, short, but swooping in for the O-board is Sarah Vaskey. Addie Post had a lane briefly up the middle. Woodbury recognizing it and making their move. That's Rachel Orbell. Wins over Roseville and Stillwater. In fact, it was a conference sweep over Roseville. Signals that this team knows how to finish. They know how to win. They know what it takes to get there. But they don't want to recreate the situation that saw them trailing big against White Bear Lake. A few years ago, we had a similar swing with Stillwater and White Bear Lake when the Bears, as Heidi Barber can't get the 3 to fall. White Bear Lake got the upset over Stillwater. They hit their 3s that night in the second meeting of that game. Stillwater won it in running time. They led 50-7 at halftime. So there are some moments of volatility that can sneak up in these games. Coco Scanlon's 3 is short. We have a foul away from the ball, and it's on White Bear Lake, so Woodbury will hang on to it. Woodbury 10-9, White Bear Lake at 16-5. And every game matters in the Suburban East because all 5 teams that are in the Section 4, Roseville moved over this year, all have a chance of making it into the state tournament round as Matea Henry lunges for the layup. Stillwater made it out of Section 4 last year. Roseville got through in Section 5. But White Bear Lake, Eastridge, and Woodbury all could get there. 3 from Sarah Popard, not there, but Jordan Schmidtdeal is there for the recovery. Schmidtdeal up to a quick 5 points. That will stay with Woodbury. 13:50 left in the first half. We're even at 6. And again, every game has significance. So White Bear Lake, even if they get the win here, not necessarily home free. They have 3 winnable games, though, before they end the regular season at Stillwater. Drive was denied. Schmidtdeal with the bounce pass. And streaking through, but missing the layup was Elizabeth Wallach. Henry lobs it. 3 from the corner. Too strong. Wallach with the rebound. Post. Working off the Schmidtdeal screen. They tried to run a pick and roll, and instead they cough it up. A Woodbury win would make this a little more interesting as far as seeding goes. They get the 3 from the key. That's Claire Morris, the sophomore forward. Schmidtdeal thought about it. Goes out to Popard. Post back to Popard. Touch 3. Bullseye. Sarah Popard's on the board. Both teams trading 3s. Lauren Pelkey. Woodbury going deep into their bench already. Fahey over to Scanlon. Back to Morris. Fahey, one of the 2 8th graders who sees plenty of minutes here. 3 from the key. Vaskey can't knock it down. Popard with the rebound. Popard, an 8th grader for White Bear Lake. One of 2 on the varsity roster. That's something you saw often, even just a few years ago, at least with the 4A schools. Schmidt-Deal, oh, great position underneath. And she's going to take advantage of that. Schmidt-Deal with 7. Again, going to Northern Michigan next year, Division II school. Located at Marquette, the Upper Peninsula. Not to be confused with the Marquette in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Pelkey. Gets it to Fahey, 10 to shoot. Woodbury looking to penetrate. They cannot. White Bear Lake's defense up top, sealing them off. Loose ball, and that's going to be a shot clock violation. Great defense there on the part of White Bear Lake. And they'll make a few changes as well. Barber, Madeline Thompson, and Abby O'Brien will return to the floor for the Bears. $11:19 left in the first half. 11-9 the score. A game that I imagine everyone in the section is following closely, or will at least check the score of closely. Barber to post. 3 on the way. That's short. That was Madeline Thompson. And White Bear Lake will be hit with a foul after Kia Henry collected the rebound. A win for White Bear Lake, as I noted, wouldn't mean they're in the clear, but it would just about seal the top seed in their section as we get another look at the foul by O'Brien, making contact with Henry. A win for Woodbury, again, would really jumble things up and would place a lot more emphasis on that second White Bear Lake-Stillwater meeting. Stillwater the only team to beat White Bear Lake in the Suburban East. And Woodbury slowly getting better. Wins over Stillwater and a sweep over Roseville. 2 teams that made the field last year. 5 to shoot. Entry feed intercepted by Post. Addy. The fadeaway. Got it. Woodbury takes a timeout. White Bear Lake up 13-9. Here's another look at the post hook. Called it a fadeaway, more of a turnaround, but 2 points nonetheless. There's a look at Brian Doty and the Woodbury team. Brian was a part of the White Bear Lake staff for several years, and then he coached at Apple Valley a few years ago. Actually made the trek over here for a non-conference game, a game that we had for you years ago on SEC, and a much different contingent of players back then. That's when Michael Parham was part of Apple Valley's contingent. Anna Sanders for White Bear Lake, who's coaching now. Victoria Adebisi, another one. Back to action following the Woodbury timeout. It was a 30-second stoppage. It will stay with White Bear Lake, or Woodbury, I should say. Woodbury's schedule after this. They've got winnable games as well. This is their last chance to make a big statement, although I think they've done enough with the wins they have already. 3 ball comes up short, and the rebound gathered by Henry. Woodbury looking for the touch shot. Orbell didn't see it. She'll go for the mid-range J, and that does everything but go in. Dashing for the rebound was O'Brien. Schmidt-Deal in transition gets the finish. And Jordan Schmidt-Deal has 9. Again, 8 20-point games for Jordan Schmidt-Deal. Tough shot for Woodbury's Harper Vossen. Trying to make it work from the elbow. But couldn't break free of her assignment. Schmidt-Deal gets the step on Henry and drains the reverse. Jordan looking smooth out there. Woodbury sinks a 3. Alexa Fahey, the 8th grader, gives the Royals a much needed score. Popard looking for options. Schmidt-Deal again. This time draws the double. White Bear Lake kicks back out. 3-second call. Schmidt-Deal spent a little too long in the lane. And we'll hand the ball back to Woodbury. Still a long way to go, but I don't think we're going to have a repeat of 71-28. Woodbury wouldn't necessarily leapfrog White Bear Lake in the section race, as getting the turnaround to fall is Rachel Orbell on Schmidt-Deal. But a win would inject a little more confidence into this group and maybe help them move up a seed line, which would make the difference between hosting a first-round game and playing on the road. Traveling call as Post was getting harassed by Woodbury. There's Brian Doty. Didn't initially have plans to return to coaching after stepping away from the Apple Valley position, but decided to give it one more run, as he put it. Lives in the area, and his daughter will be able to suit up next year. Illegal screen on Woodbury, and it will go against Claire Morris. You saw in the replay, Morris tried to square up, but wasn't completely set. Chance for White Bear Lake. Popard pulls up off the heel. Schmidt-Deal won the battle for the rebound, but Post was blocked by Rachel Orbell. Then Schmidt-Deal gets the interception. Draws the foul. She'll shoot 2. Schmidt-Deal showcasing her limberness, her dexterity, her flexibility on that sequence. We'll get the tail end of this, but that offensive rebound she got leaning back, I thought she was going to take a spill potentially. Jordan Schmidt-Deal averaging over 17 a game. Also played soccer until a couple of years ago and placed second in a national club tournament. She was a multi-sport athlete before settling on basketball, and she will be continuing that journey at Northern Michigan. She makes both free throws. She's up to 13 points. Jordan Schmidt-Deal having a fantastic first half. Woodbury trying to hang with them. Schmidt-Deal gets the rebound. She's on the move. The driving kick. Heidi Barber for 3. It's there. Heidi Barber going to UConn for softball, but giving it one more ride in basketball. She also was the backup quarterback on the football team. Schmidt-Deal with another steal. This time she'll try to take it herself. Orbell pries the ball away. Vossen responds on the other end. And Harper's on the board. 22-16. Woodbury sprinting it around so far. Pose, shuffle their feet. That's going to be a walk. Nobody with more than 4 for Woodbury. For White Bear Lake, Schmidt-Deal has 13 points. There's more than one way to make an impact in this sport of basketball, though. Whether you balance it out or concentrate it on one player. Here's Scanlon. Used up the dribble near the elbow. Finds help in Orbell, who scores the layup. Orbell with 6 points for the Royals. Wallach to post. The three is short. Rebound. Grabbed by Vossen. Tries to beat post on the run. Cannot. It will stay with Woodbury. For a 17 section, as it has been for a while, so the top seed gets a first round bye, although at this level it doesn't make much of a difference because usually in section play, when you have a 1 versus 8, it's not much of a contest. It just means one less game to add to your scoring totals, basically. 8 to shoot for the Royals. Henry back in the game, and she takes a spill. Slipped, and I think she's feeling that one. Woodbury, even though their recent history hasn't been kind to them, they did win a state championship back in 2003. Schmidt-Deal kicks out, breaks free and scores again. Abby O'Brien using herself as a pick of sorts. Vossen on the attack and one. This back and forth duel persists. Harper Vossen. Nice move to the rim. Not much Popar could do to stop her in her tracks. Vossen averaging 12.1 points per game, had a season high 22 against Eastridge, if I recall. Popard, jump ball, and the arrow belongs to Woodbury. Final month of the regular season for high school basketball. Girls hockey, of course, wrapping up soon. Their state tournament will begin in a few weeks. Whenever the calendar turns to February, that's when you know we are approaching the end. Heidi Barber not ready to put an end to her influence, though. Left that soft. Okay, kick ball. That's probably what happened. Barber will check out. Again, backup quarterback on the football team. Part of an increasing number of young women who take up the gridiron. It's a traveling call on O'Brien. Fahey over to Henry. Orbell. Can't pry through that lane. Vasky. Now Vossen. Scores again. Vossen finding some magic along the left side of that lane. Working off the screen, it's Wallach. Went back to Schmidt-Deal. Tries to put a move on Henry. Can't shake her off. White Bear Lake backs off. We'll try again. They swing it around. Schmidt-Deal with Henry in her face. Three is short. Rebound taken by Vasky. Woodbury has a chance to take the lead in what has been a tight-knit affair. Henry to Orbell, back to Henry. Kicks it back out. Vossen once more on the left side. This time can't get the finish. Schmidt-Deal ensures the rebound would go White Bear Lake's way. Addy Post's take, a bit strong, tries to knock the ball out of the hands of Vasky. Schmidt-Deal got the tip, but White Bear Lake not able to catch the ball in time with 2:26 left in the first half. Schmidt-Deal trying to use her length. She really has adopted a leadership role over the last couple of years as Woodbury's three doesn't get the bounce, but Matea Henry is there for cleanup duty. Woodbury takes the lead. White Bear Lake calls timeout, 25-24 in favor of Woodbury. The Section 4-4A standings based on QRF, White Bear Lake, Stillwater, Eastridge, Roseville, Woodbury in that order, but I think it's safe to say it's going to be one of the most competitive section tournaments in a long time. The last couple of years, as we take another look at Henry's putback layup, last couple of years were no exception. There usually were a few teams that all had a legitimate chance of getting out of the group. If there was any team that the section realignment hurt, it might have been Roseville because they were able to upset Maple Grove in back-to-back years. Now they're in a much tougher section, and there's no guarantee any of these teams that I mentioned will get out of the semifinals. You're going to have a solid team, at least one, have their season end in the first round, and then that's going to be a lot of fun for basketball fans seeing what will transpire with the remaining four. If the top four get through, well, more like top five. I don't think Tartan or St. Paul Central will be much of a factor. Schmidt-Deal puts a spin move on Orbell for the layup. Schmidt-Deal with 17. Henry moves in, draws the foul. And I believe they'll give her the shooting motion. Yes. Henry, the leading scorer, 15.4 points per game. Again, had 31 in the win over Stillwater. Biggest win of the year for Woodbury. They've won 2 in a row. Another win would match their longest win streak of the season. But I think it's safe to say they have made some significant progress. And every journey is different, but this group, there's a learning curve when it comes to understanding what it takes to get a win. What has to happen? And when that has eluded you for a long time, it can take a little while to discover that extra gear. We're even at 26. Woodbury forcing the turnover. Vossen draws contact. She'll shoot 2. Harper Vossen already making waves in South Washington County. 12.1 points per game, just an 8th grader, and you can only imagine her opportunities will grow with time. She's got 8 points now. She used her body to make contact with Popar, the 2 8th graders. Seeing a lot of looks at the line. Vossen knocks down both free throws. Just over a minute to go. If you're curious, Woodbury has already matched their point total from the first meeting. Again, I don't think we're going to have another 43-point drubbing. And a Bosman out on the floor. Jordan Schmidt-Deal getting a breather. Wallach out to O'Brien. Post has it. Post again, 10 to shoot. Nowhere to go. Bachmeyer cut off, doubled. White Bear Lake, they got to get rid of it. I don't know if that went off in time. Officials say it did, but Henry gets the rebound, so ultimately Ultimately, we get a momentum turner. That was close. They give the foul and the bucket to Henry. For a moment, I thought she might have led with the elbow. If we get another look at it, we'll see. But the call on the floor was a foul on White Bear Lake. And that means a three-point play for Henry. No matter how you feel about it, you got to take advantage of those opportunities. And Henry doing just that. Largest lead of the game for Woodbury. 31-26. Schmidt-Deal getting a breather right now. O'Brien draws the foul. She'll shoot 2 with 13.4 on the clock. Foul, the first on Vasky. O'Brien, a soccer and basketball athlete. White Bear Lake, of course, making it to the Class 3A state tournament in girls soccer this year. And much like this sport, it was also a battle. O'Brien makes both free throws. Woodbury has time for one more, but they lose the ball. Now White Bear Lake has time to get a shot off. Wallach inside, the runner too strong. And that's how the first half ends, but it was a tight one. Jordan Schmidt-Deal headlining the first half with 17 points, but the 1-2 punch of Matea Henry and Harper Vossen came into form later in the first half. It's 31-28 in a tight battle in the Suburban East and Section 4-4A. We'll take a short break and go over the first half numbers and highlights. You're watching high school girls basketball on SEC Sports.
My dentist said I had to see an oral and maxillofacial surgeon because my wisdom teeth were impacted. I got them out and had an uneventful recovery.
The pain was becoming unbearable. I didn't know that the roots of wisdom teeth can lengthen and become entangled around the nerves in the lower jaw. My surgery was more complicated, and I had to reschedule my family vacation.
One of my wisdom teeth never came all the way in. In my 30s, it started to hurt a lot. It was infected. My recovery took a week.
I had a cyst around my impacted wisdom tooth. I was referred to an OMS to have it removed. I was so worried. I wish I would have taken care of this when I was younger.
Some things get better with age. Your wisdom teeth are not one of them. Make an appointment with an oral and maxillofacial surgeon today to evaluate your wisdom teeth. When caring for your wisdom teeth, pain-free does not necessarily mean disease-free. Visit myoms.org to find an OMS near you.
Today, 1 in 5 working-age Americans has a mental health condition.
People in all types of jobs and at all levels.
And the key to helping us succeed is a supportive and inclusive workplace.
All of us have a role to play in making that happen.
So what can I do to help?
As a CEO, I can set the tone for supportive culture.
As a manager, I can offer assistance and accommodations.
As a coworker, I can listen and be a source of support to my colleagues.
As someone with a mental health condition, I can ask for what I need to perform my best.
I can offer all employees the supports they need to deliver on the job. For the team
and for the business.
What can I do?
What can I do?
What can I do?
I can remind others
that we all benefit from workplaces that promote good mental health.
Mental health-friendly workplaces are more important than ever.
And all of us have a role to play in promoting them.
Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
Hi, I'm Marcel Spears. Keeping our global neighborhood safe is a tough job, made easier by America's brave military dogs. These dogs keep our troops safe by sniffing out bombs and IEDs and locating enemy positions. Yet when these canine heroes retire, they're too often left overseas. American Humane works to bring these valiant dogs home and reunites them with their handlers for happy, healthy retirements. To learn how you can help, visit AmericanHumane.org.
Today, we face an unprecedented crisis. Tens of millions of refugees have been forced from their homes. But you can make a difference. Turn disruption and despair to hope and opportunity. Even small amounts make a big difference. Provide shelter, support, or jobs in your community. The more we understand, the greater sense of belonging we create. Act now. Visit supportcrisisrelief.org.
The future generations of White Bear Lake athletes are serenading the crowd at halftime. Perhaps in a few years, we'll see their names grace our airwaves on SEC. Right now, Woodbury and White Bear Lake are gracing us with a highly strategic chess match. 31-28 the score. Woodbury up over White Bear Lake. Got on a bit of a run to end the first half. And let's take a look at some of the highlights for White Bear Lake. They got a heavy helping of Jordan Schmidtdeal, the Northern Michigan commit, with 17 points. You saw a few of them there. Sarah Popard with her first and only 3 of the half. Schmidtdeal also running a few other duties as well. She is quite the utilitarian for the Bears. And then she puts the spin cycle extra rinse on Rachel Orbell. But again, Woodbury got on a run to end the first half. That's why they lead 31-28. Schmidtdeal, the leading scorer, with 17. Boston with 9. And the free throws, both teams 5 of 6. It's going to be interesting to see what trends emerge in the second half. Will Schmidtdeal continue to steer the ship, or will some other players get involved? Heidi Barber averaging double digits in scoring. She only has 1 3. And for Woodbury, Lawson and Henry, they've been the two that have made Woodbury go all season. If those two can continue their first half production, they could add another surprise win to their resume. A win that would really shake up the Section 4 4A race. Remember, the top seed gets a first round bye. It's determined by coaches' vote, but to give you an idea of where things would stand, seeding based on QRF, and if you look at the QRF numbers, it's not on this bracket, but as you see, White Bear Lake would get that bye. A win over Woodbury would just about secure it. If not, then that second game with Stillwater takes on significant meaning as if it didn't already. Roseville Woodbury, that would be quite the battle. Whoever gets that 4-5 is going to be in for a bruising affair. And I don't mean physically like bruise each other, but it's been that close all season long. Central and Tartan, again, not expected to be a factor, as you see on the record. But not much separation between 2 through 4 by points. So a lot of this could change. This is not the definitive final bracket. Again, this just gives you an idea of how competitive, how tight, how much parity there is. And you could apply that to the entire state after Hopkins defeated Minnetonka on Tuesday. And let's take a look at the rankings. This was published as of yesterday. White Bear Lake breaking into the top 10 for the first time this season. Hopkins taking over the top spot for Minnetonka. Parity reigning supreme. That has been the theme for Class 4A this year. We figured the favorite would come out of the lake. We just don't know which school, but Maple Grove, they're sitting in the 3rd spot. Andover having a fantastic year. Rosemount and Lakeville North from the South Suburban, no pushovers. For the first time in a long time, it's not a matter of the tournament runs through Hopkins. There could be any number of teams who make it to the Final 8, and it wouldn't surprise me. White Bear Lake certainly has a chance to do that, but in all likelihood, they're going to have to sweat through a couple of grinding, gritty rounds. Right now, they've got another half to play, and we'll bring you the second half in just a couple minutes. You're watching high school girls basketball.
In life, there are things that suck, but we do them anyway. Family meals with your wife's crazy Uncle Eddie suck, but we do it anyway. Because the memories that we make with family are everything. Family photo sessions with matching outfits suck, but we do it anyway. Because finding those photos years from now will make you laugh and cry. And you know what else really sucks? Getting screened for cancer, but not as much as letting things go undetected or untreated. So do it anyway. Screening can save your life from cancer, or even help prevent certain types of cancer, which will give you even more years of doing things that don't suck. For more information, visit getscreenedforcancer.org today.
Mammogram, colonoscopy, pap test. You need to go screen for cancer.
Dear moms and dads, we know it's not always been easy, and it's been a lot of hard work. It's not worth trying. What you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas. Everything I do it for you. Mom, love you all. No, it's true. Everything I do it for you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
It all can get so out of control. Sometimes you can lose your faith, you can lose your mind, lose your grip, get stripped of your pride till you don't know how you're gonna stay alive. Hey, hey, I got you. I will give you what you need, and I'll be right there. I got your back. I got you.
STEM is everywhere, like here, behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with trisodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that can be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker hordes.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at shecanstem.com.
Just beginning here at White Bear Lake, the final season at this gym. We go to the North Campus next year, where a brand new facility awaits us, and I can't wait. But we've got a big game here. Woodbury, they lost the first meeting by 43 points. They're putting up a much more spirited effort this time. Schmidt-Deal on the take, short, follows her own miss, too strong. Barber on the left side, cleans it up. Barber with 5 points. Tough shot for Vossen. It doesn't go in. Again, White Bear Lake looking to solidify the #1 seed in Section 4-4A. A win over Woodbury would just about do it. A Woodbury win would make the rest of the conference race even more dramatic. Missing the 3 was Post. Rebound Scanlon. Jordan Schmidt-Deal had 17 first half points. Far and away the leading scorer. Henry kicks back out. Scrum for the ball. Taken away by White Bear Lake, gets Post. Gets bumped by the 8th grader Vossen. Post, in her spare time, likes to enjoy herself on the lake. I'm guessing White Bear Lake, since we're not too far from that body of water. And given this weather as of late, might be a few people who are taking some time to enjoy themselves at the lake. On Tuesday, we'll be on the other side of the lake, so to speak, with Matamidi and Hastings girls basketball. Ten to shoot for the Bears. Barber, the 14-footer, swish. So Heidi Barber opening the second half with back-to-back scores. And White Bear Lake retakes the lead. Henry looking to bulldoze her way in. Heidi Barber ensuring that wouldn't happen. White Bear Lake on the run. They stay on the pivot. Schmidt-Deal didn't have the shooting space. Finds a cutting post. Who gets the roll? And this could be a huge benefit to White Bear Lake. Woodbury's three is long. And that's not to say Jordan Schmidt-Deal's hogging the ball. Far from it, but if the other players are getting involved, that could open things up for Schmidt-Deal. Barber for three. That would have been a big momentum bucket, but she'll get another chance. Swish. White Bear Lake scoring the first 9 points to start the second half, and Heidi Barber with 7 of those. 37-31, White Bear Lake over Woodbury. Here's another look. Offensive rebounds, always crucial. That was Kemi Bachmeyer who got the rebound and the assist in quick succession. 15-10 left in the second half. Again, this series has been controlled by White Bear Lake over the last several years, but it's all about postseason. White Bear Lake, when trailing at halftime, has not won a game this year. Oftentimes those games came against the Lake Conference or other top teams. Woodbury 9-1 when they lead at the half. And remember, this game has been pretty tight throughout. White Bear Lake with their largest lead of the game. Woodbury, their largest lead was 5. So I would not extrapolate any conclusions yet. When you look at the rise Woodbury has been on, bringing some much needed enthusiasm and optimism for a program that didn't have much of it in recent years. And some of it comes down to personnel. Sometimes coaching changes. Long two for Henry. It's short. Rebound Schmidt-Deal. There is no one specific combination that makes for a top-notch program. Schmidt-Deal thought about the three. Couldn't put on the brakes. I'm laughing at her facial expression. A little surprised, and then she shimmies to the other side, hoping no one would notice. At least that's the vibe I got. Reading her facial expressions. It's not often that I get to call a game courtside and get an up-close and personal view, but I could get used to this. Henry hoping to get used to another layup, and she can't make it happen. Post. Pass sent away. It will stay with White Bear Lake. White Bear Lake has some pretty winnable games, and then they end the regular season with Stillwater. That will effectively serve as a first-round tune-up if they do get the 1 seed, since they wouldn't play that first round. Schmidt-Deal, not playing around, moves in for her first point of the second half. Henry. Woodbury swings it out. Scanlon looks for a take of her own. White Bear Lake so far doing a better job protecting the lane and denying Woodbury some clean angles to work with. On the move with Scanlon, she'll shoot 2. Scanlon has yet to score in this one. Carmen is her given name. She's fluent in Spanish, and she also participates in track, yearbook, and the link crew. And whatever her athletic destiny holds, if you're fluent in a second language, that opens up a world of possibilities. I think the Adam West version of Batman described language as the key to world peace. I don't know if Coco Scanlon has to worry about that magnitude, but it is a fun and useful skill to have. Baseline jumper long. Henry gathers the rebound. Henry. Didn't see a lane. 39-32 the score. Schmidt-Deal. She has been a sniper all game long. Adds 2 more. That is her 9th 20-point game of the season, and she's closing in on her season high. Woodbury having some trouble on the handle. Now Henry settles it back down. Pelkey lost it. Guess who? Schmidt-Deal comes up with the ball again. She may not be the biggest name in the senior class, but she's certainly a big name for White Bear Lake, as we mentioned in the first half, really excelling at the leadership responsibilities after Nevaeh Hughes and Lauren Eckerly graduated a couple years ago. Nevaeh Hughes currently playing JUCO ball at Central Lakes, hoping to find a team to play for. Lauren Eckerly playing Division I soccer. And you'll find her in the spring and summer with Salvo SC. If you're Woodbury, you don't want to hit the panic button yet. Don't want to fret, don't want to sweat it. There's still lots of time, but you got to make sure your possessions are clean and you don't cough up the ball like that. Again, this is all part of the learning curve for Woodbury. They got the sweep over Roseville. They beat Stillwater recently to get a split there. Barber launching a 3. That would have been a huge bucket. Instead, it will be a dead ball rebound for Woodbury. Coincidentally, we mentioned Jordan Schmidt-Deal's season high of 25. That came in the first meeting with Woodbury, the one White Bear Lake won by 43. So Schmidt-Deal is proving herself to be quite fluent against Woodbury. That time, Wallach got a piece of that elbow J. Now post from the wing. White Bear Lake swings it back out. A couple more lobs. Popard to post. Looking for the reverse, put too much on it. Morris gets the rebound. Henry. Here's a 3, looked a little off. Rebound Wallach. Post. Over to Barber. White Bear Lake getting pushed back out near the midcourt line. Driving kick 3 for Wallach. Missed everything, but it was last touched by Woodbury. Went off of Morris, I believe. So it will stay with White Bear Lake. They'll have 7 to shoot. And the ball did not touch rim. Shot clock awareness, that's going to be crucial as we enter the final month of the regular season and begin postseason play. Schmidt-Deal, touch 3, short. Rebound Scanlon. Woodbury has yet to make a field goal in this half. A drought that is approaching 7.5 minutes. They've had a tougher time penetrating the lane. Henry can't penetrate there. They'll try to 3, and that rims out. Rebound, Woodbury, but Pelkey was too strong. Woodbury staying with it. And sometimes you just gotta stay the course, remain persistent. Claire Morris gets the putback. Schmidt-Deal dragged her feet again. And a little beside herself for the miscue, but it happens. Nobody's perfect in this sport. Next play, that's the mentality a lot of coaches preach to their players, and I'm sure Jordan will have no trouble adapting that motto herself. She wouldn't have the success she has received the last couple of years. Otherwise, White Bear Lake gets back on defense, forces the turnover. Foul before Henry was able to make the interception. It will be the second on Woodbury. Just the first on Scanlon, but a break for the Bears. Wallach off the Schmidt-Deal screen. Now Schmidt-Deal pulls up. Can't get the runner to go. Henry. To Morris. She was looking to stroll her way in. Now she'll take the jumper. Hesitated for a moment. She was on the line. But Morris giving Woodbury a much needed offensive boost. That's Madeline Thompson. White Bear Lake ball. 41-36, 8:55 to go in the second half. A game that has moved at a pretty quick clip. Schmidt-Deal backs off. Does the handoff to Barber. Wanted the three, she won't get it. Schmidt-Deal fires. That clinks off the back iron. Henry doesn't have the room to go coast to coast, but Woodbury does get a stop. Morris feeling it, but that three is short. Henry is there for the scoop. There might be a play of the game candidate right there. Matea Henry catching the missed shot. You might have heard the running joke that shots like that are disguised as a pass, but either way, Woodbury overcoming that sluggish start where they went nearly 8 minutes without a field goal. Here's another look. Henry was able to get just enough space on Barber to make the catch and lay it in. Matea Henry, another one of those unsung heroes, hidden gems, part of that senior class, and having one heck of a send-off here. A send-off that could create some opportunities at the college level, should she wish to pursue that. $8:21 left in the second half. Jordan Schmidt-Deal still leads everyone with 21 points. On Woodbury's end, Claire Morris got a couple of buckets early, and Matea Henry getting one there. Bachmeyer. Schmidt-Deal had an opening at the wing for a moment. Big possession here for both sides. White Bear Lake moving the ball around. Now post fires and banks in the 15-footer. Addie Post with 7. Morris walled off by O'Brien. Schmidt-Deal back to post. It's Bachmeyer. Opted not to go for the jumper. Schmidt-Deal. Kia Henry closed in on her quickly. Post will try again. That's the second time she's hit a jumper from about that spot. That one from 14. And Post feeling her mid-range stroke. White Bear Lake pushes the lead back to 7. Henry to Henry. That three sailed to the right. Barber to a wide open Schmidt deal. 3 ball, that would have been a huge bucket. Offensive rebound will not go to White Bear Lake. Woodbury looking for a 3 of their own, and getting the Plinko bounce is Fahey. Just her second 3-pointer, but it's a big one. 45-41 as the stage is set for a possible photo finish. 6:28 to go. Schmidt deal. Pulls up, mid-range J, swish. Just 6 points in the second half, but she's got 23. And she is playing a big part in this game for White Bear Lake. She wouldn't mind a return trip to state. High-low to Matea Henry. Bobbled, 3. I think Addie Post got a piece of it. No! That was just a misfire. It was tough to tell because the ball's trajectory sailed left. You could tell from where I'm sitting it wasn't going to be near the rim. Usually shots don't miss by that magnitude. Schmidt deal from 14. She banks it in and matches a season high. Made the reach, made the grab. It will stay with Woodbury, but Jordan Schmidt deal coming up clutch. I think that's the best way to put it. Fahey to Vossen. Vossen is yet to score in this half, and that entry feed taken away by White Bear Lake. Will they feed it to Schmidt deal? She'll get a touch, but she'll go to Popard. Back to Schmidt deal, and there's a new season high for the senior. Jordan Schmidt deal, 27 big ones, and she's not done yet. A steal. Kicks it back out to O'Brien. Didn't have the numbers to take it all the way. Popard, side fade, 3. Offensive rebound. Schmidt deal came up short. Largest lead of the game for White Bear Lake. Woodbury, if they have a run within them, it has to come now. But a walk. Matea Henry took too many steps en route. Jeremy Post told me in our brief chat, we got to prove it tonight. Jordan Schmidt deal certainly proving herself. Going to the GLIAC next year at Northern Michigan. Post, the bounce pass. Schmidt deal had to reach for it. Might have taken away the short-range layup option. White Bear Lake will take a timeout with 4:41 to go. They had a few remaining. Again, looking to maintain the number 1 position in Section 4A, and what that would do, you saw the projected bracket based on QRF. 4A the last couple of years, the first 2 rounds hosted by the high seed, and then Hastings is the host site for the championship. More brackets have gone to that as opposed to the neutral site venues that were commonplace prior to the pandemic. So if you get that top seed, you get a first round bye, and so you know right away you're going to host the semifinals. There's another look at the projected bracket. If QRF were used, the coaches will ultimately decide it, but White Bear Lake just 1 loss in the conference, and that came to Stillwater. They swept Roseville, they swept Eastridge. Foul on Woodbury as Eddie Post was doubled. O'Brien to inbound right in front of me. You often hear the phrase, in the center of the action, or something to that effect. That's what it felt like. Schmidt-Deal had the pass tipped, so couldn't clean it up properly. But Abby O'Brien cleans up that possession properly, to say the least, with that three. And that just might be enough. White Bear Lake taking command. Schmidt-Deal, another driving kick. Will she pick up another dime? She will. Abby O'Brien with back-to-back threes, and White Bear Lake pulling away, 57-41. They trailed 31-28 at halftime. There's a deep three for Woodbury, and it's pure. Orbell with the score, but I don't know if Woodbury has enough time. 3:43 left on the clock, 57-44. This week, a big one for high school girls basketball. A couple of big headlines taking place on Tuesday. Tori Orline becoming the fastest player ever to score 3,000 points. Tori Orline doing so in 101 games. And on that same night, Hopkins defeated Minnetonka, the last undefeated group in Class 4A. What that means, the Class 4A state title race is up for grabs. Here we've got a game that White Bear Lake could use to solidify their standing in Section 4A. Again, they took a few lumps early. They historically do. They play a lot of Lake Conference teams and other top-tier competition in December, and Jeremy Post said that's all part of the project. We put them through the grinder early to prepare them for later in the season. And as you can see, a lot of winnable games ahead of them. Mounds View, Parker, Cottage Grove, Cretin-Durham Hall. The first meeting with CDH was a close one. Stillwater, that was a barn burner the first time out. It could be again the second time, whether or not they have the one seat secured. The only real bad loss you could say White Bear Lake has is Elk River. They're not a pushover, but certainly not the team most likely to get out of Section 8. Woodbury having to play foul and chase here. And Jordan Schmidt-Deal a little slow to get up. 27 points for Jordan, who again has guided this team splendidly, but she might want that pass back after Fahey got the steal. And for Woodbury, another three, this one long. That was Orbell. Vasky gets the rebound, and Woodbury will take a timeout with Vasky in trouble. I don't think that's what Brian Doty was looking for, because at this level, the clock doesn't stop when you're late in the game for a made basket, so the only way you can stop it is for a timeout. And I'm checking some of the historical numbers here, and I'll have an update for you shortly. Again, we are back on the SCC airwaves on Tuesday. Hastings and Matamidi girls basketball. As we take a look at the White Bear Lake huddle, and there's a look at our remaining games. The 6th, the 20th, boys basketball, Matamidi will host Simley. And then the Section 4A semifinal in boys hockey. That one will be carried on tape delay in all likelihood, as NSBN usually does the live stream, and when you get to sections it gets a little trickier in that regard. But I did go over the numbers, and based on the research I was able to gather, Jordan Schmidt-Deal not only has a new season high, she has a new career high. Her previous best was 26 last season. So Jordan Schmidt-Deal adding another milestone in her senior year, and she hopes it will culminate in one more run to the state tournament. As a sophomore, she got bronze. Post has an opening. Spin move too strong. Bachmeyer picks up her first field goal of the game. Another facet of White Bear Lake's determination. Stepping into the three and burying it is Scanlon. That's her first field goal, but Woodbury's going to run out of time. That nearly 8-minute field goal drought did them no favors. They got a couple of plays later on, but that woman right there has proven to be too much to handle. Too tough to tame. Jordan Schmidt-Deal with 29. And has done all sorts of other contributions as well. Rebounds, got a few steals, assists. That game is probably going to be on her career highlight reel if her folks put one together. And both teams are going to call to the bench after that foul. Subbing the second stringer, so Jordan Schmidt-Deal will finish with a career-high 29 points. We mentioned her previous season high was 25. That came against this very Woodbury squad. Sometimes it's just your night. Other times you get a favorable matchup, and Jordan Schmidt-Deal has feasted in the two meetings with Woodbury. So White Bear Lake will pick up another win and get one step closer to securing the #1 seed. Getting the offensive rebound was Freya Sanders. And getting the putback was Chloe Tyson. Always fun when the second stringers get on the board, which means they'll appear on the hub tonight in the box score. In the old days, I used to say newspapers, but now we go to the hub. And for Woodbury, this is another step, another lesson in the learning process. They made it much closer than the first meeting, and they did hold the lead at halftime, but finishing games, that's going to be the key, and stringing that consistency to a full 36. They've proven they can do it with wins over Roseville and Stillwater. Can they do that on a more consistent basis? If they can, they will be a dark horse for an upset bid, but I would not count out this Woodbury team as time winds down. But the night belongs to White Bear Lake and Jordan Schmidt-Deal. 63-47 the final. Jordan Schmidt-Deal, a career high 29. And she was effectively a unicorn in this game. The one-woman show. Heidi Barber with 10 for White Bear Lake. And for Woodbury, their leading scorer, Matea Henry with 10. But they had a real tough time getting it going in the second half, just 16 points. So White Bear Lake goes to 17-5. Woodbury goes to 10-10. And once more, with the section race as tight as it is, every game matters for these two. So any win White Bear Lake can take, they will gladly accept as they try to hang on to that one spot in Section 4A. We'll join you again next Tuesday, February 6th, for more high school girls basketball, Matamidi and Hastings. But until then, for everyone here on the SCC crew, this is Mike Peden reminding you to help control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.